So I've decided to make a new hose for the return fuel line at the fuel tank. For no other reason other than where the clamps attach on this original one. It's kind of deformed. And as you might remember in my previous video, one of those spring-loaded clamps actually shattered when I tried to reuse it. Now the only concern with this hose, which is very good quality hose and it withstands ethanol, in case that rubbish is in our fuel here, I don't know. To get it at that kind of angle, it does kind of collapse, but when I get close to that angle and blow through it, it's still free flowing, so I'm going to give it a go. On the car side, where I don't really need the spring clamp, I'm going to use one of my permanent crimp-on clamps and use the last spring clamp of this to attach it to the fuel tank. I only need easy removal from the fuel tank. If this hose fails, which is very unlikely, I'll have to break that easily accessible crimp-on clamp at the car side. So let's go do this. Means I might actually be able to start my Red 124 today. Things didn't quite go to plan here. I'm not happy with the way this new hose is actually sitting in there. With the kind of angles that it's on, it's looking like it's kinked in the middle. And I don't want to be causing myself any more dramas in regards to this fuel system unnecessarily. The original hose is still fine, so I'm just going to go ahead and reinstall that. Look, it probably would work, but who knows what will happen on a hot day when that rubber gets soft. It might in fact collapse completely and become a restriction and just mess up things completely. So this is what that new hose looked like. On that kind of angle, you can see that it's just folding in the middle there. Though you can still blow through it. Once again, I'm just not happy with that. That's just not how it's supposed to be. And that's what I've done. So the original hose is reinstalled, and I have taken one of the spring clamps off the bottom of that valve, and I put a crimp clamp on there. So everything is sealed up the way it's supposed to be. And yeah, I do need a new one of those valves because that has failed. So now my attention is drawn to this 210 that is in the way of testing out my 124. In any case, I need to go and buy some fuel. Fortunately, I do have a 20-litre jerry can just lying around because I knew this day was coming, and I did need to buy some fuel to do this test. Here we go. Here I am back now after purchasing 20 litres of 95 octane. I'm not buying 98 anymore after the advice I received that that is a slow moving fuel and it sits around and usually goes in the worst tanks at the retailer. As you can see, that was absolutely crystal clear. So I'm confident to put that in my Red 124 so we can see how it goes. It's been so long since I've sat in my Red 124, I forgot what it's like in here. It still has that fresh leather smell from these recovered front Sportline seats. And the rears don't look too bad as well, even if I do say so myself. That is original leather. Anyway, let's prime these fuel pumps. I just have to disable the immobilizer. And see what happens. The tone they make will change once the fuel is actually flowing through them and pressurized, and then that's when I'll know when I can start to crank. I think we're almost there. Yep, we're getting there now. Yep, I can hear air bubbles in the fuel tank. Alright, let's see what happens. the engine runs nicely, but it always did. I guess the smart thing to do now would be to lift the car up and just make sure there's no fuel leaks, and I'll think about taking it for a drive. The weather's kind of crap at the moment, and I've got a 210 I need to move in order to get this out of the garage, so I don't know, we'll see. No promises. Alright, let's move this old 210 out the way. And maybe I can give Red a decent test drive. So far, I can say she's driving absolutely magnificent. I cannot fault it. I've even done a bit of a slalom in the 80 zone, and there's no problems with fuel supply now. She's running sweet, as they would say. Just going to make my way up to my personal test loop, give it a bit of a test around there, and if that is successful, I will consider this a fix. Who would have thought that a blocked strainer in the fuel tank would be such a pain in the butt? It's just been an absolute nightmare, but I got there in the end by removing the tank and washing it out with a garden hose and cleaning out that fuel strainer. As to where the filth is coming from, I do not know. That valve device that is on the fuel tank evaporative emissions control line, or that line that goes to the charcoal canister, that is absolutely failed. So it's effectively the same as just driving around with a fuel cap off, really, because the tank will not pressurize at all. So it's just bleeding straight into the charcoal canister and then to the vent in the engine bay. So that conceivably would be responsible for the rusting out of the tank, because obviously as temperatures drop at night time and the fuel contracts or whatever, moisture is going to be sucked in via that vent line, and that's going to be happening every day of the year. So that's probably why my tank's rusted out. I will endeavour to get a new one of those valves. I don't know what it's called. I'll have to look it up in the EPC. But as to where the filth is coming from, I do not know. Maybe it was from filling up at a really old fuel retailer, which I did before this happened. Maybe my charcoal canister is disintegrating, I don't know. I have checked its lines and I didn't see anything suspicious in there. It was all pretty clean. And as you saw, the fuel out of that jerry can was absolutely perfect. It was crystal clear and there was no junk in there. So if there's any junk in there now, well, I'm going to have to assume it's coming from the car, and then I need to call the guys in the mystery machine because I've got no idea where that's coming from. I need Scooby-Doo and the gang to work out where that dirt's coming from, if it's coming from this car. As you can see, I'm going around corners rather briskly and there's absolutely no issues with fuel supply. It's been absolutely flawless, so I can absolutely guarantee that it was the clogged strainer that was causing all of my problems. She's got plenty of power, she hasn't missed a beat. She's running very, very nicely, just the way it used to before this disaster occurred. Anyway, I guess that's the end of the video. I'm just going to drive it home now and put it away, because this is kind of crap weather and it can rain at any moment now. Pretty sure at the moment I could probably balance a coin on that engine. It's running so smoothly. Nice. Back to sleep she goes. Not that it's particularly warm today, but I'm really impressed with how this hood insulation is working that I makeshift put together. There's effectively no heat whatsoever transferring to the other side of the painted surface there anyway. There is a little bit of warmth in the fenders as you normally get because there's no insulation there. I'm just looking at my 210 briefly. Ridiculously quiet are these M113 V8s. You wouldn't even know that this is a V8. This is my battery charger that I've got set up in here because the battery is under the back seat on there, so I just like to have easy access on there. As to what I'm going to do with this car, I do not know. It was kind of an impulse purchase. I had money burning a hole in my pocket and I saw a reasonably nice E430 for sale on the other side of the country. So I went ahead and bought it. I liked it because the paint is original. It's not failing with clear coat peeling. I don't like those gold badges. I will replace those. I do still need a rear bumper. This one is destroyed. It's like cracked in half. But finding a bumper in Western Australia seems to be mission impossible. There's just none out there, other than like rip-off merchants that seem to corner the market on scrap vehicles, and they charge an absolute fortune for everything. I will not be dealing with such people. This was the first V8 E-Class for the Australian market. We never got the M119 powered E420, I think it's called, in the 210. It just was not available here at all. We only had 6 cylinders and fewer cylinders in our W210s to begin with. It's in pretty good condition. I don't intend to actually drive it. I just want to preserve it, probably clean it up, fix everything, and then just put a car cover on it and lock it up in the inaccessible side of the shed for the future when you can't even get petrol-powered V8s anymore. Just something to hold on to play with in the future. I have no intention to drive this, as I said. I'm not even going to register it.